Hey everyone, welcome to Empowered Women, Stress, Hormones, and Resilience. I am Dr. Ashley Rath, and I am super excited to dive into really why you're experiencing what you're experiencing when it comes to hormones and symptoms and stress and your gut and immune system and supplements and all the things. So let's dive right in. This is for you if you might be brain foggy Brooke. Brooke wakes up tired, goes to bed wired, and feels foggy in between. She bounces from one task to the next, but rarely finishes anything. She can't remember the last time she played with her kids without her phone in her hand and eats whatever's convenient, forgets to drink water. I'm definitely guilty of that one, and skips meals because there's just no time. She relies on coffee to function and possibly alcohol to wind down. She feels like she's losing her edge but doesn't know how to get it back. She's gaining weight even though she really hasn't changed anything in her diet or exercise, and she blames herself. She thinks maybe this is just getting old or mom life. But deep down, she knows this can't be the only way. She might even, in addition to that, say, I've gotten my labs tested. They seem to come back, quote, normal. My hair is thinning. I have acne. I have hot flashes. I can't sleep at night. These are really, really common symptoms we see. The flip side is clear headed Claire. She feels clear, focused, and mentally sharp. She starts the day with intention, not urgency, and energy. She fuels her brain and body instead of running on fumes, communicates clearly and calmly with her partner, is present with her kids because her mind is not racing. She sets boundaries like a boss and says no without guilt, and has steady energy throughout the day and actually enjoys her life again. She didn't get there by doing more. She learned to reset her nervous system, support her hormones, and reclaim her life. If this is something you want, this webinar is for you. If this is where you're at with Brain Foggy Brooke, this webinar is for you. So, who am I and why the heck am I talking about it? Well, my name is Dr. Ashley Rath. I am a farmer's wife, mama of three, a best selling author, a podcast host, a paid speaker, a functional health provider, and I am super passionate. So, I did most of my undergrad up at NDSU in Fargo, North Dakota. And then I got my doctorate of chiropractic in at Northwestern Health Sciences, and ever since then have been in love with women's health, everything from pregnancy to infancy, all the way up to now perimenopause, menopause, and everything in between. So this is my jam. I have practiced for over 10 years and have seen thousands of women throughout my career, and I am so excited to share with you really my heart and my passion of helping women become who they feel like they've lost, which I see this time and time again. So, which of these symptoms have you experienced? Hot flashes, brain fog, fatigue, mood swings, thyroid issues, weight gain, anxiety, low libido, irregular periods, sleep disturbances, hair thinning, cold hands and feet, bloating, hot flashes, acne, depression, cravings, PMS symptoms, breast tenderness, joint pain, dry skin, feeling overwhelmed, eye twitches. It's a lot of symptoms, isn't it? So if any of these sound familiar, you're in the right spot. So let's dive in. So let's start with a question. Are people today generally healthy or unhealthy? Yeah, if you live in the United States and you're watching this, mostly unhealthy. So the United States represents only about 5% of the entire world's population. However, we spend on healthcare um, more than 95%. So we spend on healthcare than all the other countries, 95% combined. We consume over 75% of the world's medication, yet we're 5% of the population. There's a recent study that compared overall health of 11 peer nations. So these are established nations. And the United States, of course, we came in dead last. We are the most unhealthy country of the established non-third world countries. And this wasn't the only kind of it. So countless studies have shown that the United States has more incidence of chronic disease than most other peer nations. Obesity, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, autoimmune disease, and so much more. And the United States continues to struggle with these problems. So based on this information, we can determine a couple things. It's not for a lack of spending. We spend more than anyone else. It's not a lack of prescription drugs or access. We consume more than anyone else. What we're doing is clearly not working. The thing is, number 4, health doesn't come from an outside approach. So the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results by Albert Einstein. So it's time for a change. Health comes from the inside. See, there's an epidemic. 80% of autoimmune disorders occur in women. Chronic fatigue, thyroid, and mood issues are rising. And approximately 73% of adults, 73% of adults, that's massive, by the way, over the age of 20 in the United States are considered overweight, obese, based on the NHANES. This is an epidemic of chronic illness. So why is this so confusing? So one blog says keto, another says carbs, some say strength train, others say don't overdo it. You're told to love your body, but lose the belly fat, and you feel like a full-time researcher. And still, guess what? You don't have any answers. So why does conventional care fall short? Honestly, it focuses on the symptom suppression, not root cause. Over reliance on meds and birth control. And you've been told, this is the one I get the most, your labs are normal, but you don't feel normal. You see, the thing is, you're not crazy, you're not broken, you're just misunderstood by a system that wasn't built for you. To get started, we really have to understand the nervous system and how our stress response can affect the hormones within our body. So, stress inside the body, you have two systems. You have what we call a stress response or sympathetic or gas pedal or fight or flight response. And you have a parasympathetic, you have a rest, relax, brake pedal, state. The sympathetic nervous system is a stress response. So, back in caveman days, like fight or flight, you were going to fight a tiger off. This is not bad, but what it does is it increases your heart rate, your cortisol, blood pressure, breathing, insulin resistance, and does have bone loss if sustained. Now, the opposite of that is the parasympathetic system. This is where we restore, this is where we heal, this is where we grow. You have a lower heart rate, lower cortisol, lower blood pressure, lower breathing respirations, and better insulin management and minimal, if zero, bone loss. So the thing is, we have increased concentration, digestion, immune function, memory. So we want to hang out more in that parasympathetic nervous system. However, most people don't. Most people's tigers, so back in caveman days, we literally need to fight a tiger off. Now, today's tigers are very different. Their work stress, their politics, their government, their policy, their relationships with their spouse or their family or their friends or their children. It's the constant running, the constant task list. It's the go, 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 go with very minimal rest. And this is our society. And what happens if we get stuck in this stress response? Our HPA axis, which is our stress response, gets ignited. So, HPA axis stands for hypothalamus pituitary adrenal. So, your brain senses essentially a stress, it senses a threat. And it sends a signal to your pituitary gland. Your pituitary sends a signal down to your adrenal glands. And then your adrenal glands pump out cortisol, adrenaline, epinephrine, all the stress hormones. It's not a bad response. We absolutely need this response. However, if we sustain this stress response, we have very chronic health challenges. You see, the thing is, cortisol is upstream, what comes out of these adrenal glands right here. And because cortisol is upstream to many, many hormones, this will affect our mood, our energy, our sleep, and our weight. And so when we really look at a root cause, we have to look at where is this starting? And it's starting from a mismanagement of stress. When the body gets too overwhelmed with stress, its tolerance or its resilience goes down. And that is essentially where we start seeing all these symptoms. Women's HPA axes are far more sensitive to stress than men's. This impacts cycles, skin, digestion, mood, immune health, sleep, many, many things. And so when we look at stress, we have to think of its impact on all the other downstream hormones. And we're going to dive into a little bit or some of these hormones here of estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, even thyroid and insulin, and how your stress response is having an effect on some of these hormones. So, female hormones have this inner symphony. There's estrogen, progesterone, cortisol, and there's this rhythm and balance that needs to happen. However, under stress, that becomes a challenge. Hormone surges and dips throughout life stages. So, we have to have our stress intact or managed appropriately to be able to have balanced hormones. The main players are estrogen, progesterone, and cortisol. So, estrogen is the builder. It boosts energy, mood, creativity, confidence, supports brain health, bone, heart health. And really, it's this like, it can be both anti inflammatory and pro inflammatory. And mid cycle, it surges. Essentially to release an egg, and sometimes you'll get symptoms with that around your cycles. Another main player is progesterone. This is really the balancer. This calms the nervous system, improves sleep, reduces anxiety, regulates immune response. It's very, very sensitive to stress. It declines when you have an anovulation. So if a woman is not ovulating. Some clinical signs are PMS, insomnia, short luteal phases. And a main player, in addition to those two, is cortisol. This is the conductor. Remember, cortisol is upstream to many of these other hormones. So it's going to have a direct effect on how those hormones are working. This will govern your daily energy rhythm. A lot of times I see people with actually cortisol that is completely depleted and not functioning, and they are stressed or they are low energy. They are constantly fatigued. And when we have chronic stress, this will dysregulate that HPA axis, that hypothalamic pituitary adrenal, that stress response. And then what happens is it starts suppressing or upregulating or downregulating those other hormones. And now you have this beautiful, perfect storm of chaos of hormones happening. See, throughout life, we have some hormone surges and dips, and it's important to understand this. In puberty, we have high estrogen without a sufficient amount of progesterone yet. So the mood swings are higher and there's more cycle irregularities. Postpartum, there's a steep drop in progesterone and estradiol post placenta detachment. So, plus you add some chronic sleep deprivation and babies that aren't sleeping, colic, fussiness, things like that. And you have a major cortisol dominance. In perimenopause, what happens is your ovary reserves of estrogen declines, and what happens is now your progesterone output is also being altered, which leaves this estrogen that is unopposed. And now we get a whole host of different symptoms. Plus, the ovaries are going to be producing less and less estrogen, which can lead to a whole host of symptoms: irritability, insomnia, midsection weight gain, breast tenderness, etc. And in menopause, you are at the lowest estrogen. Your ovaries have really, really, really gone down to nearly zero, and progesterone. So cortisol is now buffering the capacity and is diminished if the HPA axis is dysfunctioning. Remember that stress response. So when we enter into menopause, our adrenal glands actually start creating more estrogen. And if your adrenal glands are already stressed because your stress response has been ignited for how many years, now you have this perfect storm into perimenopause and menopause because your adrenals are even more taxed. So this domino effect happens. You have stress, And now this is going to affect your gut. Your immune system, 80% of its function is within the gut, so that decreases. And when your immune system decreases, now you have thyroid issues and joint and skin flare ups. In addition to that, not only from like a gut immune function, but 80% of your serotonin, this is the chemical, the happy hormone, right? Happy, calm, sleeps better. 80% is produced in your gut. So now the stress response affecting your gut is now having an effect on your mood. I see a ton of increased anxiety around perimenopause, menopause, because this stress that is now added onto the adrenal glands is just too much for the system. And it creates an even more or an even larger stress response on the gut, and which has a huge effect on serotonin, and 50% of your dopamine is actually in the gut too. So there's this massive gut brain connection, and why your mood and energy is so dysregulated. The other thing we want to look at is really like stress is the root cause. Your body's inability to adapt to these stressors is causing the body to continue to fire this HPA axis. So really there's three types of stressors. There's emotional, physical, and chemical. And I like to break these down into the three T's. Sometimes I call them toxins, which would be chemical, traumas, which would be physical, and thoughts, which would be emotional. But really, your body has the same response for all of these stressors. Emotional could be relationships, trauma, finances, fear, anxiety, depression. Physical, repetitive work, sitting for long periods of time, birth, poor sleep, car accidents, concussions, slips, falls, things like that. Chemical, environmental stuff, what you're putting on your skin, in your soaps and your detergents, in your skincare, injections, anything you're inhaling, consuming, processed foods, etc. This can all ignite that HPA axis. So you're probably wondering, okay, great. Yep, that's me. I am that. So how do we ditch brain foggy Brooke for clear headed Claire now that we know that, right? And I'm going to give you some tools because let's do this, right? Because this is all about sharing absolutely what I know works and I've seen work. So we need to start resetting your stress response so your body isn't firing that HPA axis and in that sympathetic response the entire time. We need your parasympathetic state to be ignited for the majority of the time. Don't underestimate the power of the simplicity of some of the things I'm going to share with you. Sleep is so underestimated. We need regular natural sleep wake cycles. We need to reduce blue light at nighttime. Meal timing, so having your meals at a similar time, is going to help with hormone. And just by getting proper sleep, this means dark, dark shades coming in, no blue light an hour before bedtime. You can use binaural beats or acupressure mats to help you. But our sleep is so foundational to start to regulate your hormones. Um, this needs to be very close to the top of the list. Nutrition. Honestly, eating real food. I say the less labels you have to read, typically the better it is for you. Mediterranean anti inflammatory diets lower cortisol. Eating omega 3s, whole foods, fiber, cruciferous vegetables, really nothing you haven't heard before. Like eat real food, right? Um, Not easy, but it's foundational. The thing is, with root cause stress solutions, we have to start to get our brain to wire in a different way. So our thoughts will create our emotions create our actions create our results. So when we look at root cause stress solutions, we have to understand that our mentally emotional stress is going to affect what we feel and what we do directly. So we have to start becoming aware of our triggers, where we are getting triggered with our stress. We have to start looking at where can I be more mindful? Where can I set some boundaries? Where do I need more support? You see, the thing is, when our mind is stressful, our body will follow because our thoughts create our reality. In addition to our thoughts, obviously exercise, right? Sleep, food, exercise. You're probably like, oh, this is like so basic. It is because it's so important. In addition to that, there's some supplements that I also recommend. Some adaptogens, ashwagandha, rhodiola, holy basil, maca, ginseng. These are all great hormone stress regulating supplements that I recommend as well.
Hi
There's
everyone.
case
We
studies that
have
I want to share with
Connie
you.
here, and she just finished a 3 month functional health care plan. And so, welcome, Connie, and thank you so much. But I want to ask you just a couple very, very brief questions. So, what was life like before the program? What were kind of some of the symptoms that you decided, like, hey, I don't want to live like this anymore?
Well, last year I had very many stressful family situations in my life. Um, One of them was both my in-laws were ill and passed away within a few months of each other, and dealing with all of that, the stress just got to my gut, and I could feel when I was under stress, and then I started having digestive issues, and I went to my doctor for it, and he put me on prednisone. I did not like how that felt. It helped a little bit, but not much. So I came to you, and first you gave me the stage one, I think it was
Yep.
called, and
Yep.
or step one, whatever, and that helped. I took that for a month, I think, and I started seeing improvements right away. And I think I had done. Did I do the saliva test right away?
Yep. Yep. We
And
did
then
the lab test.
and then started after the results of that came back. You started me on the 90-day
Yeah.
program, and I started with that. And at first, it wasn't there wasn't too much. I mean, I noticed improvement, but it was good.
Mm-hmm.
And then after the 3 months, my symptoms of waking up at night were minimal. I wasn't sweating at night. I just felt so much better, and I didn't lose a lot of weight, but inches came off. I
And
was so inflamed.
how many inches did
Oh, it was
you?
6 inches off my waist. And it
Inches
was
off
like,
her waist.
yeah. So yeah, I just feel better and able to handle stress with the tools that you've given me, and the program gave me, and I need to use it more even.
We all could do better.
But
yes.
I learned how to handle the stress, and that will never go away. So we just have to
Get better at it.
yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's such a powerful story. And what would you tell someone kind of on the fence of like they know they have some issues going on, but they don't really know what to do? What would you tell that person?
I would say trust the process, and that you guys have been so helpful with any questions I've had, and it's been worth it for me.
I love it. I want to give you a hug. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hi everyone.
So
We
this is
have
Connie.
here,
She came
and
in
she
similar to a
just
lot of our
finished
other patients. She
a
had a lot of gut
3 month functional
inflammation,
health
lots
care
of
plan.
bloating,
And so, welcome,
discomfort,
Connie, and
high
thank you so
stress,
much. But
etc.
I
And
want to ask you
she
just a
shared this
couple
wonderful
very, very brief
testimony
questions.
of
So,
what
what was life like
you
before the
can
program? What were
or
kind of
how
some
you
of the
can
symptoms that
feel when
you
your body actually starts
decided,
healing
like,
from the
hey,
root cause. And it's such a powerful story. And I just feel like I had to share it with you. So you've probably told yourself it's just a phase, or you've brushed it off as maybe, quote, normal aging. But deep down, you know your body's whispering for something more. And minimizing your symptoms doesn't make them go away. It really just delays that healing process. So there's some common myths about stress. So stress is all mental. Reality, it impacts every system of your body. So stress can start with mental stressors. It can stress with toxics. It can start with toxic stressors. It can start with emotional stressors, and it can start with physical stressors. So stress is not all mental, and it has a very impactful effect on every single system and every cell in our body. Myth number 2, relax with vacations or meditation techniques. Yes and no. The reality is, chronic stress requires root cause approach. Yes, vacations may help to manage stress, but if you come back and you don't change anything, you will just go back into the same slump. Same thing with meditation, mindset things. It may be helped with that, but if you don't change anything else, your reality most likely isn't going to change all that much. So if you don't measure it, the thing is you can't manage it. So let's learn about the SMP test. So, why and how we test. Most standard labs miss rhythm and hormone imbalances. This test right here is a saliva test. It's an at home saliva test. And what it does is it tests your cortisol 4 times in one day, which almost always, when people measure their cortisol, they do blood work, which absolutely can be missed. Or markers can be missed because your cortisol should spike in the morning and ski slope down for the rest of the day. So, depending on when you do your test, it can't catch that rhythm of how cortisol should be. So, if we're going to help you fix chronic stress, we first have to access the function of that HPA axis. Remember the hypothalamic pituitary? So, how many tests have you had? The problem with most tests is that they are incomplete and are still just looking at symptoms. You see, the thing is, if brain body miscommunication, if there's like a rhythm imbalance problem, then testing your rhythm is key and its root cause. So, this special test that we have, the SMP test, will tell you exactly what's going on at the root cause level. So, SMP stands for stress and metabolic profile. It's an at home saliva test, which is exactly what you want. You don't have to go to any labs, you don't have to get pricked. You just have to spit in a couple tubes. It measures specific chemical messenger production throughout the entire day. So, it measures your daily rhythm because your cortisol every day spike in the morning, ski slope down. And so we want to test that throughout the whole day. And it's superior to blood tests for for assessing the HPA axis function. People ask, well, why didn't my doctor tell me about this? Short answer, this simply isn't a part of their training. But why? Because most are trained to prescribe medication, and this approach requires more than that. So, if we're going to help you, we have to do something different. You see, the thing is, I've talked to medical doctors. I actually am partnered with some medical doctors that do just this and they've told me we weren't trained about a specifically perimenopause, menopause, and what we can actually do to help them. So, this is what our test measures. So this is a reading of what a typical reading would come back as, or not typical. This is a rhythm. This is definitely imbalanced patient. This patient specifically was struggling with chronic pain, fatigue, depression, and hormone problems. You can see here she's way above the normal ranges. We wanted to spike in the morning, ski slope down, and then kind of taper off the rest of the day. So this is the normal pattern we'd want to see. This next one is low cortisol. I actually see this the most. Most people think they have high cortisol, but most people have been stressed for so long that their cortisol, their adrenals are entirely fatigued and their cortisol is actually tanked. So this patient was struggling with thyroid problems, bloating, and anxiety. You can see here it's very low. There's no spike in the morning or very, very minimal, and then it's way below the normal ranges. The SMP test reveals what's at the root. And even though this may appear to be less severe, This patient was still struggling with fatigue, depression, and hormone problems. So you can see here that she kind of is in the green, drops below, and then pops back up. We definitely need to start raising that cortisol to get her back into normal reading. This tells us that that stress response, that HPA axis is dysregulated. The SMP test also looks at several other critical markers. It looks at digestive function, inflammation, hormone balance, and potential infections, and more. Specifically, it also measures DHEA, SIGA, and insulin. These are important for a couple reasons. So, the SIGA plays a critical role in our immune function, and it's protecting us from harmful invaders like bacteria, parasites, and funguses. It's particularly important in helping to protect our digestive system. So, one of its primary roles is to actually monitor throughout our digestive system to look for potential threats and then respond accordingly. So this SIGA marker is really a superhero that's constantly on the lookout for potential dangers. And when it finds them, it will protect us against them. So when that is off, it really is going to give us a good look at how our immune system and digestive system are functioning. The other things we measure is both fasting and non-fasting insulin. Insulin is actually a shuttling hormone. One of its primary roles is to shuttle glucose into your cells to provide all of our cells with energy we need to function. So it kind of takes the blood sugar out of the blood flow and into our cells. Insulin functions as a direct reflection of our metabolic function, or in other words, like how our body is functioning at a cellular level. But ultimately, all of these markers we look at are means to assess that brain body communication. So, how is the brain connecting to the body, and how is the body talking to the brain? So, remember that when that HPA axis is out of balance, it's affecting a wide range of the systems, including your mood. Let's get into that. So, what conventional healthcare versus what you think you need? So, conventional healthcare focuses on the system. We focus on root causes. The shorter appointments, we have personalized attention through exploration of all the symptoms you have. We have advanced functional testing to advance hormone rhythms, gut health, cortisol patterns, and immune markers in the convenience of your home. We can ship it to you. And these are individual plans. When a cortisol is low and when cortisol is high, we need to look at that patient very, very differently. We're not a one size fits all. And really, we're here to not dismiss you. I hear this all the time. Like, my doctor doesn't listen, and she just wants to give me some drugs that I don't want. And we really emphasize on non pharmaceutical options: nutrition, stress management, sleep, adaptogens, targeted supplements, and really this whole body approach. And of course, you're going to get ongoing coaching and education with us too throughout this. So, what you've already tried. You maybe cut out sugar, you've tried diet and exercise, you've started walking more, you've done a whole 30 or maybe intermittent fasting. You've read all the blogs, Google searches, followed the influencers, and you still feel off. This is your sign. If trying harder were the answer, you'd probably already feel amazing, wouldn't you? So, this is a really neat testimonial that one of our patients shared with us that we could share. Before starting health coaching, I was struggling with stress, anxiety, and weight. These concerns impacted my mood, especially with my family, and just my overall energy. I have tried different workout plans and diets in the past, which failed for different reasons, such as lack of support or accountability, pain, or hitting a plateau that discouraged and derailed any further progress. I decided to start health coaching after being seen for chiropractic care for several months. I had been interested in checking into my cortisol to investigate a potential cause to my anxiety and weight. It is through this testing that I learned I actually had low levels of cortisol. I was able to start a plan to detox and correct my hormones. This has been a process of several months that also included support with exercises, heart math, and education. I'm still waiting to complete my final hormone testing, but with consistent work, I was able to see improvement in mood and energy. I think I found the most benefit in awareness of moments of stress and working through these moments before they snowball. My initial target was to better manage my anxiety, but I have recently started working on weight as well. I've had great success in some initial weight loss and have enjoyed having the support as I walk through the next steps. I'd recommend the Family Roots Health Coaching Program to anyone looking to have support through their journey to improve stress, hormone balance. So this is from Mark. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but if you want to, you can. You can. I've been diagnosed with Hashimoto's, and my thyroid is calcified, both confirmed by my primary care provider. Despite regular labs showing results within the normal range, I continue to experience persistent symptoms, extreme fatigue, weight gain, and constant sense of emotional disconnection. I had neglected my self care for a while, and it felt like everything hit me all at once. I've dealt with weight gain before and successfully managed it through nutrition and exercise, but this time felt different. My thyroid issues seemed like a new and significant factor I couldn't ignore. At best, I lose 5 pounds, 5 pounds only to gain 10 back. I went from 180 pounds in July to 210 by January 25. And then he goes on to say, I'm not unique like many people. I had a million reasons not to take action. The loudest voice in my head kept saying, why try? You won't be able to follow it perfectly. It's hard to admit, but I've learned that the real change happens when I stop listening to that voice. This time I refused to let perfection block progress. Doing nothing clearly wasn't working, and I was ready to move forward. He did eventually drop to 186 pounds and has been tackling stress remarkably. So you're at a fork in the road. You can continue to do what you've been doing or finally do something different. One leads to survival, the other leads to transformation. So, who is this for? This is for women who are exhausted but can't sleep, wired but tired, snapping at your kids over no real reason, waking up drenched in sweat and then freezing, losing your train of thought mid sentence, and avoiding intimacy not because you don't want to, because your body feels off. The dread of getting dressed because the clothes don't fit the way they used to, dealing with irregular cycles, mood swings, brain fog, low libido, waking, or just that gut feeling that something's off, even if your labs say you're just fine. Modern mamas and high achieving women who are done settling for this, just part of getting older, or this is just what motherhood feels like. If you're ready to reconnect with your body, balance their hormones, and feel like themselves again with a science backed, soul aligned plan that works, this is for you. If you're looking for a quick fix or detox, one size fits all magic pill, this is not for you. We're not about band aid solutions. We're about full body transformation rooted in truth, strategy, and actual support. So, I would love to schedule a discovery call with you. If this sounds like something you're interested in doing, click the link. There's a free discovery call. You can hop on a call with me or one of my team members for a free 15-minute discovery call. We'll walk through your goals, what you'd like to achieve, and really to see if this is a good fit for you, if getting your cortisol checked is the right fit for you. And we would love to be of support and help and answer any questions that you may have. So if this if you're getting that gut feeling like, hey, this is something, click the link. I'm excited to learn more about you and your goals and why you want to achieve them.